What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's live event. Man, it's the Seeds of Growth. It's a exciting night. If you guys just jumping on, just say what's up. Let us know you're here. Oh man, what are we streaming on 4 pages right now? That's pretty cool. Let's see if Melissa is gonna introduce of like what we're doing here, what we're actually doing this live for. So Melissa, you want to go ahead and talk about it?
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be here tonight. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for watching us, everybody out there. I asked our good friends, Justin from the Hope Shot, Sonya Johnson, and Adriana K from Deer Recovery. You know, she's the one that's got those t-shirts you see everybody wearing. I asked them to, I asked them to get together with me tonight and let's talk about accountability programs, accountability courts, and recovery. And the reason for that is because I have an event coming up in September, and that is through the DUI court program that I graduated from. So I am an alumni of a accountability court program. And so there's several different kinds of courts that are under the umbrella of accountability courts. Y'all can help me out. There's DUI or DWI in some states. There's drug court. There's family court. There's veterans court. There's mental health court. I don't know if I'm leaving something out, but there are several different courts, and it is all for people that have found themselves in the in the hands of the criminal justice system due to issues related to those things that I just mentioned. So for me, I was a habitual violator. I liked to not only drink and drug, but I liked to be mobile. I'm a runner. I am a runner. So I would get in the car and I would run. One time I got a DUI and my husband was like, he's not in recovery. I tell you guys this all the time. He's not a drinker, but you know, I would get drunk and then I would wake up out of my stupor and I would get in the car and I'd go. And he's like, where are you going? Like, come back. And 2 miles down the road, I would get a DUI. And they're like, oh, here's Melissa again. But somehow I was able to accumulate 6 lifetime. And in my rock bottom, I write about this in my book. After coming out of rehab and relapsing, I had a good solid 2-month run and I accumulated 4 within that period. And they were strewn over several different counties. And I was able to have it all consolidated into one county and enter a program to keep me from going away to prison for 2 years. And so that's why I initially entered into the DUI court program, because it was going to keep me out of prison. And I quickly realized what it was going to do for me was greater than that, because I had, I don't know if I've ever shared this with anybody. I haven't written about it. I haven't shared it with a lot of people, not publicly anyway. But for my recovery, I went to a dual diagnosis treatment facility. That means they were treating me for substance abuse and they were also treating me for mental health disorders. So I have bipolar disorder. And I also suffer from PTSD from the experience that happened to me when I was in a trafficking situation. I do write about that. But so I went away and I had to spend a lot of time there. And I was very, very, very fortunate that between my husband and my parents, we were able to afford that. Okay. Because it's not, unfortunately, the reality is it's not available to people that don't have the funds, right? And they have grants and all kinds of stuff, but they were able to get me into that program. After I graduated from it, it was an inpatient program. I went into an outpatient treatment program, and I was very fortunate to attend their program and stay with that. But it wasn't long. I mean, they had already cracked into their 401ks and all kinds of stuff to help me out. You want to talk about people having some resentments? Like, I didn't just like mess them up when I was drunk. I was still impacting them severely when I was sober, because they were having to like empty their pocketbooks to keep me alive. That's how much it meant to them. And they did everything they could, but we were running out of funds. And that means I ran out of treatment. And so right when that happened, when that patient treatment stopped, I got, I think I had to go check myself into one of my DUI sentences. So I gotten out, I gotten clean, I started getting sentenced for all of the things that I had accumulated, cleaning up the wreckage. And I think I had served maybe 2 weeks. And what they did was they transferred me straight into another county because I owed some time over somewhere else. I thought I was getting free, and they didn't. They cuffed me and took me on to the next one. So I went there, and while I was in there, my criminal attorney had a good friend that was a family attorney. I also had at the time was fighting for custody of my third child, Caroline, and I had lost custody of her while I was in treatment. And so they got together, that team, and they talked about this new program that had kind of come online in Cobb County, Georgia. And it was a DUI court program. And it was modeled after the drug court, which was, I think drug court was the first accountability courts to come around. I think it started in Miami, Florida. So they entered me into the program. I was able, we fought to get me in there, and I was able to, and they were able to take all of my counties that I had drunk and drove across and put it into one sentencing through Cobb County. And I entered that program. And that is where my treatment continued for 2 years. You guys, I had to pay fees. There's fees that come with it. And you have to pay with time and service and community service, but it's very rigorous. It's not anything to enter into lightly, but it saved my life. And I write about it. I talk about it. I advocate for it. I have the highest regard for the people that run those programs and give themselves day and night. I mean, they take these cases home with them and lose sleep over it. It is true service work. And I do that because I know that it works, because here I am with my friend Justin and Adriana and Sonya and all of you guys talking tonight about them while I'm almost 10 years sober. And I have an award-winning book that I've published, and then other ones coming behind that. I'm traveling, I'm speaking, and I have my marriage has been saved and it's been restored, and it's wonderful. Most of the time, sometimes he can't stand me because I'm a whole lot to deal with, but we are doing good. You know what I mean? And I've got my kids, my relationships with my kids. I'm a grandma. I have a job. I work at a church. They let me work at a church. Like, I say that all the time because I'm like, who lets a criminal like me work at a church? But they do. So I have this beautiful life, and it started through that program. I needed to go away and get help. I needed to get my medication straight. I needed to get on the right path of sobriety. But once I was relaunched into the world, I needed a rigorous accountability program where even my family and my enablers and the people around me could not distract me from the path that I was on. Because sometimes when we go home, we relapse because our world around us sucks us back into those old ways. It was impossible. They were even having my family go to family counseling and to court. Do you know what I mean? So it was this whole entire bubble that carried me through the graduation of my inpatient and outpatient into 2 years of life. And I want to tell one quick story. I don't want to take up too much time, but I want to tell one thing. Christmas Eve, there was a night after my father had passed. It was Christmas Eve, and we were court ordered to go to like a group counseling session. And everybody was pissed. My family was pissed. My children were crying that I had to leave them at 6:30 on Christmas Eve. My mom, who was a widow, was like, oh my God, how could this be? This isn't Christmas. This is never going to go away. This is terrible. I got to the meeting. The counselors were even kind of like, wow, we have to be. I was so excited that I had to be there, that I was forced to be there because I went to a meeting. I needed the meeting. I needed the counseling. I needed the unity. and I needed it that night. I I could have relapsed. There was an opportunity for me to relapse that night, and I didn't, because of that meeting. And it was court mandated, and nobody could tell me, no, you can't leave and dip out and go take care of yourself and your program or whatever. I had to go. It's life changing. It really is. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that we're talking about it. I'm glad that we're gonna after we each share a story, we're gonna hear from some of the people that are out there listening, and give some of your feedback or questions. Because what we're going to do with this video is Justin's going to put something together for me to take to that event that I have coming up with the accountability courts in September. And I'm going to play it for them, and I'm going to show them our friends. I'm going to show them our friends at the Hope Shot and at Sonya Johnson and Dear Recovery and Sober Now, and share with them, this is what we're doing out here. So yeah, you guys are working hard in the court systems, and you're giving us a great start, and you're planting those seeds. And here's what's blooming because of it. This is the ripple effect that is changing the entire ecosystem of this earth because your love and your dedication and hard work. And so I'm just excited to be here, and I'm really grateful for all of your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Thanks for putting this on, getting us together. It's always an honor and a privilege to be able to share like an experience, because this life is a gift, and in order for us to keep it, we got to give it away. Right. And we got to talk about it. So we want to, like Melissa was saying, if you guys have had experience with drug court, accountability court, DUI court, parental court, whatever that court looks like, and you've been infected or you've been, changed because of these little things, it's good to hear that your work is being, it's taking effect in people's lives, because that's why we call this the seeds of growth, right? It's because we plant seeds along the way, and sometimes we will never see them grow, but it's always nice when we do, and so that's why we wanted to do this, to kind of highlight the amazing work that people do in the system, because they deserve to see it, so at the end of this, we will read off some of your stories or any questions or anything like that. We appreciate y'all being here. So a little bit about me is I'm Justin with the Hope Shot, and I did drug court back in 2008. Now, I was in my addiction for 23 years of my life. And in 2008, when I got drug court, I didn't want it. Like, it was like a get out of jail free card for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll take whatever you got, bro. Just get me out of here, right? I mean, that's mostly what we do, and because I didn't have people that bond me out, right? That wasn't happening. And so I got sentenced to drug court, and it was go to classes, and you had to, pee. And back then, when they didn't have all what they have now, they didn't have the alcohol testing strips, they didn't have, they could test everything under the sun. So I got a lot of away with a lot of it. And I've never really done like detox or treatment. I've done a lot of detox, but it was the jail detox, right? It was you get locked up and you go through it for the days, and then you get out and you're right back to the races. That's just what it was. And so drug court was probably it was the first like real kind of like outpatient thing that I really did. And but I never took it seriously, and I always thought I was getting over on somebody, right? I always thought that like, oh, I'm gonna sneak some pee in, I heat it up, to a certain degree. I thought it was like this, this Houdini of drug tests, right? and it wasn't like that. It was I was getting over on myself. That's the only thing. That's the only person I was getting over on, and because I could never take it seriously. But that was the first initial like introduction to it. And then I took jail time because I just couldn't get it. Like, I was too wrapped up into that life. When you're so consumed in with your addiction, man, it's hard to come out of it at first. It takes multiple times to get yourself to get out of there, to be able to actually change this thing, because you're so far gone. And so I took jail time, and I did my jail time and got back out and right to the races, the how the story goes. But in 2011, I got arrested twice, back to back. I got arrested for shoplifting, grand theft. I never really was that a big criminal. It was mostly I was a petty theft guy. I was a Walmart stealer. I was a Home Depot stealer. I had a little business out of it, and I got caught in 2011 and I went to jail. And I always tell everybody when I got arrested, it was a rescue mission. It always rescued me from myself because I was literally killing myself. And in that moment, those 2 times I was arrested, if you see the jail pictures, I was 130 pounds soaking wet. If there wasn't some intervention or some kind of, a rescue mission on me, I probably would have died. I was literally, and I didn't even know I looked like that until I look back on these pictures and I'm like, man, I was sick, like real sick. And like I said, I was literally committing suicide on a payment plan, as I guess you could say. And so I got rescued from myself in 2000. It was 2011. September was the last time I got arrested, and I got pulled over, and I had a crack pipe and all kinds of other things. Needles. I was, shooting anything I could. I was really bad, and finally, I was like, man, I'm done. I got out of jail. I went and packed my stuff at my mom's house because we were all using together. It was my mom, my brother, and my sister. We're all using together in the same house. And I told my boss I can't live there. So I stayed in his house, in the back of his house, in a tent for 1 month, just because I was that serious. I wanted to stop. And through that, I was like, I'm done, but I wasn't done totally, right? I wanted to keep drinking and I wanted to not give that up. I thought it was like, the shooting up and the smoking crack and all that stuff. I thought that was it. I could still drink successfully. But in that time period, right? And I was like, oh, I'm clean now and this, that, and the other thing. The alcohol was more unmanageable than anything for me because I had to be around people. And when you're around people, you think you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof and you get into fights. And then I got stabbed 9 times in that year. And I was in ICU. And so, yeah, you want to talk about unmanageability. It doesn't matter what the substance is. I could have died from that too. And so they did sentence me to drug court. So in 2012, I started drug court. And I did everything, man. I did NA meetings and this, but I wasn't there to take it seriously, and I always say that, I might not got it right then, in 2012, but it was like a stepping stone into my path because I knew exactly where to go back to when I was ready, right? I might not have, like I said, I was still not taking life seriously. I was still wanting to do it Justin's way. Like, yeah, you guys want me to do this, but I'm going to do it like just a tad bit over to the right because I wanted to cheat the system again. And it wasn't, like I said, I wanted to do it my way. And so I went to the drug court, but at that time there was a lot of like, they were switching providers or whatever, because the one provider was kind of, I don't know, it was, they were doing shady stuff. So they switched providers. So it was like my kind of like a leeway to be able to get away with certain things, And I graduated drug court though. I graduated, got the certificate and all that because I didn't really do anything crazy. I just dabbled here and there with alcohol, right? And but by the end of it, after I graduated, I went back. I didn't go right back. Like I didn't go crazy, right? I had that in the back of my mind that if I ever started using, painkillers or anything other than just alcohol, that I'd be right back. Well, I always stayed right at the fence line. You know what I mean? Like, like a dog or a kid likes to push the boundaries. That was me. I was like, oh, nope, stay back, And I did that for a long time until I broke my leg, right? I broke my leg because I was too drunk and I was partying. And I went right back to, painkillers. And that was like always my end. I never went back to doing junkie stunting, right? Never went back to shooting up, never went back to smoking dope. I never really did that. I was like, I don't know. I was manageable, right? And And then finally I had enough, and I knew exactly where to go back to though. Like I checked myself in the outpatient treatment, I did the 4 times a week for outpatient treatment. And that was my story coming here. I have 5.5 years now. So 3/16/2018 is my clean date. And I hold on to that thing with a dear life. And it's very important to me. And, like I said, just because people don't get it right away, they always take that with you. So a seed was planted in me, right? That put me on my way. I knew what meetings to go to. I knew where to go to. I knew the right people to call. My counselor that I was with, she is actually on our board now for our nonprofit. So, and it's like that circle of life, and and now I get to actually be a part of, the judge. Judge Crane is the drug court person. I think he just got promoted, but he was my judge back in the day, and I get to see him at functions and this, and I was like, and then Billy Major, like he's the one that worked for the public defender's office that would put people where they needed to go. Right. And I see him now. It's like full circle. It's really cool. Now I'm out here doing the same thing with them side by side. And that's beautiful, So that's all from me. Yeah, I'm just grateful to be on this with y'all and be able to do this project. So now we're gonna hear from Adriana.
First, Justin, I want to say I love your shirt. That's one of the shirts I designed.
I was gonna say, I wonder why.
I put my two passions together. I actually went to school for graphic design and art and recovery, and I put the two together. And yeah, that's how Dear Recovery started. But I guess I'll share a little bit about my story. So I was born in a different country in Europe. So when I came here, I didn't speak any English. So it was like starting all over again. No friends, a different language, all that. So I just felt like an outcast, like since the very beginning. Um, I started drinking, I would say, age 12 even. And I always had to be that one to like outdo you, right? Like you had a 6 pack, I had a 12 pack. You had a 12 pack, well, I'm gonna have a 18 pack. And I would always black out. I never remember anything. Like Justin was saying, I would fight people like crazy. Like when I was in that state, my friends had to tell me like the next day what I did, and it was always so embarrassing. Um, but I'm gonna share this because I think it might help somebody. I used to not be able to say these words, but I was essayed. I'll say it in Facebook language. So I was essayed when I was really young, 12 years old, and it was happening for a few years. It really messed me up. I felt alone. I didn't tell anybody, so it created a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. And because of that, I think my addiction with pills and alcohol progressed because that was the only way I knew how to cope with it at that age, right? You're so young, like you don't know yet what's going on. Um, so it got worse. I progressed from the alcohol and weed to pills. I thought, well, it's prescribed by a doctor, no big deal, right? It's legal. What's the big deal? I wasn't educated on it. I don't know. You could have withdrawals, become homeless, all those things. Um, so eventually, I got suspended from high school for being drunk at a football game. I got brought home by the cops a bunch of times, and the next day, I don't remember anything, but I had like grass stains on my jeans, like almost like I fell and was just crawling, and I would always black out, like I don't remember anything. Um, there was an instance I shared the other day. My car was stolen from my driveway, and till this day, I don't know if it was actually stolen or I just took it somewhere and who knows what happened. Like, that's not normal, but that was my life. So, it got worse before it got better. I started like selling jewelry, pawning my jewelry, just doing whatever I could to manage this life that I created. And I wasn't really living, I was surviving. I was existing. Um, so and at one point, like, I thought, like, my destiny is just, like, to be an addict. Like, there's people, my sister's a teacher, you're a lawyer, you're a nurse, whatever it might be, and I'm just an addict. Like, those were the decks, the cards, that I was dealt. And, like, I believed that for so long. I almost, like, accepted it and thought, like, this is just my life. Like, I don't know. I gotta figure it out. So I try to get clean on my own so many times. I did the Suboxone way. I went into inpatient detox. Took off work, like try to do it that way at home for like a week, and withdrawal. And I always relapse. Like I couldn't figure out why like I couldn't stop using. And I love this story because I went into my public library, I took out a book about addiction, and I'm like, maybe there's like some answer in here, like, why can't I stop using? Like, and today, like, I know it's because like I try to do it alone every single time. It was me doing it by myself. And I'm sure there's people out there that can, but for me, I couldn't. Like, I needed somebody to show me that they did it and guide me and show me the way. Um, so eventually, I got arrested. I got arrested a few times, but the last one was the worst one. I had two detectives just come knock on my door. Are you Adriana? Yeah, you're coming with us. So they take me, I stay over at the precinct. The next day, they take me to court, and they realized they took me to the wrong court because I had felonies. They took me to misdemeanor court. So now this is like the third day. I'm finally seeing the judge and my lawyer, and my lawyer comes and he says, "You've been arrested for being in the largest drug bust in New York State." So I was like, "What?" So yeah, I had a lot of felonies. The only offer they were giving me was 10 years in prison. Like that was it. It's either you take the 10 years, you go to prison, or you fight it. And who knows what's going to happen if you fight it, right? So we're just going back and forth to court for like a year. I'm telling them I just need help. Like I'm not a bad person. I just need help. I have a disease, right? And eventually, I asked, like, what about felony drug court? Because I had a few friends that did it, so I wanted to see if they would at least, like, let me do it. Um, and for a while, I was considering not doing it because, and I don't know about anybody else, and you could tell me in the comments, but there's some people that were saying like it's a trap, like you're set up for failure, right? So I almost didn't take it, and I eventually did. I took that route because if I did A, B, and C, my felonies get dropped. Um, and I knew I had to do that because then it means that it's up to me how well I do, right? And in like prison or wherever I would have went, at least they're equipped to help me with my recovery. So eventually I took the drug court. Um, they mandated me to inpatient, outpatient, sober living. But the first time I go to see the judge, I pee dirty first time. And I heard stories of people saying, you have like, they give you like 3 chances, like you're good. And I go to see the judge first day and he remanded me straight to jail. Well, like I needed that ass kick. I needed it. Because I wasn't stopping. Like I needed to be stopped. Um, so I eventually completed it. And like today, I look back, I hated it while I was doing it, right? But like I look back and it's such a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise. Um, Like everything that happened taught me some kind of lesson throughout the whole journey. And today, like, I went back to school. I work in this field now. I'm a senior recovery outreach specialist for a mobile unit. Um, it's actually really awesome. We go out into the community. Like, if you can't come to us, we'll come to you. If you can't get to rehab or detox, we'll take you. We'll even sit with you until you're admitted into the hospital or rehab, whatever. You need a meeting, like, we'll take you until you feel safe and supported. You need to go to court, like, I can come with you and support you. I know it's a scary process. I could walk you through it because I've been there, right? So, like, it's so amazing. Like, I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. Um, and like, even going to high schools and, like, sharing stories, and that education piece, I feel, is so important because, like I said, like, when I was in high school, like, it was that, like, just say no. And that's like, okay, well, why am I saying no? I kind of want to know now why I'm saying no. um so, like, that education piece of, you will withdraw if you don't have it, or this will happen, or look at this person, they're homeless. um and the best, like, I wanted to save this for the last. Now I get to work, just like Justin was saying, I get to work with like the case managers that sent my ass to jail. I get to work with them and they call me for clients. So it's amazing. I get to even go to the same jail that I was incarcerated at and run a weekly group. Like, if that's not a miracle, I don't know what is. So I'm just so grateful for recovery. And thanks, Melissa, for setting this up.
Awesome. Thanks, Adriana. That was a hell of a story. That's pretty cool. I like that mobile unit.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome, actually. I think a lot more places should start doing that.
Yeah.
I'm getting sick, so excuse my voice.
It's okay. All right. So now we're going to hear from Sonya. What's up, Sonya?
What's up? Okay, I'm so glad to be here tonight. I love that we're doing this and I love hearing y'all's stories. I relate so much with some of the stuff that's been shared tonight. I remember when I was younger, when I first found drugs, that was my solution because, like Adriana shared, I experienced a lot of trauma in my younger years. And so when I found drugs and alcohol, that made me feel better. I didn't feel the pain anymore. I was numb. I could be the person I wanted to be. And so that really spiraled very quickly for me because I didn't have the education. I took Dare, and Dare told me, just say no. But again, I wanted to know why too, right? Like, why are you telling me all the slang names for these drugs and I don't get to know what they feel like? I want to know. And so that's what I did. But I believe that the disease of addiction, like, it runs in my family. So it's very easy for me to become an addict. And that is what happened to me. And so I tried a lot of things over the years to make it better, right? I tried also the medicated assistance route, although I wasn't ready at the time. So that didn't work for me. I tried getting married and living happily ever after. And I thought that that would fix me because I was looking for something to fill the void within. I tried moving away and coming back and moving away and coming back. But no matter where I went, there I was. And no matter what I did, I still had this gaping hole inside of me. And so what happened with that is that my husband and I wound up becoming addicted, and it got really, really bad. And we weren't being very good parents with our kids because we were constantly getting and using and finding ways and means to get more drugs, right? And our whole life revolved around using drugs. And I never thought that I would get out of it. I had accepted my fate, right? That I was just going to die that way. That's just the way it was going to be because I didn't know that there was another way. I mean, I had heard that you could stop. I thought it was like a willpower thing. I thought that I just wasn't strong enough to stop and that I was a bad person because I couldn't stop. So what happened is my husband almost died from using, and he was in the hospital for several months. And a few days after he finally got out of the hospital because he finally got better, he got arrested.
And then a few short months later, I got arrested. And, it wasn't just one accountability court for me. It was multiple accountability courts that helped my whole family, right? So when my husband got arrested, he took something called comprehensive treatment court. And so that's for people that have like mental health, substance use, physical problems. Like they got a whole array of problems. He fit right into that category. And then I was on felony drug offender probation. So I was also on community control, which means it's basically like house arrest. I was on house arrest. And I was looking at up to 20 years in prison. And I wound up getting this at the last minute. So it was really a great opportunity for me. And I also felt like it was a setup, right? Because I had been on probation other times. And every time I was on probation, I kept failing and I kept violating, but I kept using. And come to find out, like, it's not so hard to get through if you're not using. And what also happened is I had custody of my kids taken away. So I was in dependency court too. So all of those things kind of happened to me all at once. But that was really what I needed for me to be able to change my life, right? Because when I sat in jail with the case plan looming over my head and prison time looming over my head, I finally found the desperation to be able to think about living another way. And while I was in jail, women would come in there and they would tell me their stories and that they had been in my shoes, lost their kids. They were convicted felons. They had been an inmate in the jail and they found a new way to live. And they got their kids back and they had great jobs and they were happy and they had everything that I had or everything that I wanted, but I couldn't figure out how to obtain. And so I found some hope while I was in the jail. And then I got graced this opportunity. Instead of going to prison, I got to go community control instead. And I got to go to treatment instead. And it was all kind of wrapped up all at once. And so what that meant for me was that not only was I not going to go to prison, but I was also going to have an opportunity to work this case plan to be able to get my kids back. So I had a lot of accountability in the beginning, but that accountability really served me well, right? I had to report where I was every second of every day. I mean, I literally had to make a schedule that said where I was going to be, and God forbid I wasn't there, I was going to jail. Matter of fact, I was probably going to prison. And so, they also made me go to NA meetings or AA, but I chose to go to NA meetings. So I got connected to people in the community, and I had to show up there and report and take drug tests anytime that they wanted me to. And all of those things really helped me to gain my foundation in recovery, right? I also went to a halfway house, and it just really helped me in the beginning to be to lay the foundation of my recovery. And so I was on probation for about 18 months before I finally got off probation, and I got my kids back about a year after getting out of jail. And my kids have been home with me for a little over 3 years now. It's been about 3.5 years now. And, my life is absolutely amazing today. I mean, it's amazing. Not that I don't have bad days, because I do have bad days sometimes. But I don't think that I would have what I had it not been for those accountability courts, right? They kind of wrapped them all up in once, but that was exactly what I needed. And when I hear people today that tell me that they're getting ready to get put on probation, or that they're already on probation or drug court or whatever, I'm like, yes, that's good, because it's the accountability, right? Like, I needed that accountability. I needed to know that I was going to have to go take a drug test at any given point in time. And I never knew what day it was going to be, right? You call, you find out you got to go that day or you don't. And that helped me. So I didn't even think about using when I was on probation. I mean, I did, but I didn't actually want to do it because I knew what was going to happen if I did. And so I'm really, I guess, lucky in a way that I didn't have to like relapse over and over again, but there was so much on me all at once. And I really believe that that's why I was able to be strong in my recovery, because I had so much that was on the line. And so anyways, I had this one probation officer, and he watched me before I wound up getting out and going to treatment, being on community control. He watched me violate probation a few times, but he also believed in me the whole way, right? And every time I would get out of jail, he would tell me, you can do this. You just got to go to meetings. You got to get connected. Like, he believed in me. And when I got off, he was still my probation officer. And I really feel like that guy saved my life. He believed in me when nobody else would. And he put my ass in jail when I needed to go to jail too. And that was, like Justin was saying earlier, right? When I was in jail, I remember thinking to myself, I had this whole revelation moment that I realized that I had been rescued, not arrested. You know, I had been running for so long and I was just sure I was going to die out there and I had no hope out there. And then I finally got arrested and I found hope in the jail and I realized that I had been rescued. And that time really helped me to plant those seeds of faith to continue in my recovery journey. And my case manager for my dependency case, right? So I have this case manager back in 2014 when it originally started. And then I had another one in 2018, and she watched me the whole way through. And actually, I work with her professionally today as well. So all of that stuff that I've been through, right? All of those things that I've been through. Today, I get to help other parents who are navigating their way through dependency court to be able to get their kids back. And I get to work with not with my case manager at her job, but but you know, we see each other all of the time, and it's really cool just to see it come like full circle, you know, and to kind of just be in the same place helping people. It's really just such a cool moment. So yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Yes, that rescue mission. It's perfect. I mean, it's exactly what it was when it was, you know. So yeah, let's I mean, I'm gonna read some of the comments and see who else got up in here, and then we kind of chit chat. Go back up here. Okay, we got Christina. I hated Pasco County DCF at one point. I held so much animosity towards them, but today I'm grateful I went through their program. Today I know I was the reason I lost custody of my children. But once I decided to get clean and did some work on myself, I was able to heal. I forgave myself. I learned from my mistakes. And today I have 4 years, 3 months clean. I work in the recovery field and I get to give back and try to help others stay clean. Thanks for sharing tonight, everyone. Thank you for sharing, Christina. That's amazing. It's crazy how our perspective changes. You know, like we have these resentments toward these people that are just trying to help us, right? That's all they're trying to do is help us. And we have these resentments for them. And then we look back on them. It's like, you know what? It was me the whole time. You know, I always said that, that my fellowship flipped the script on me, right? I was pointing at everybody. Everybody was the problem. Everybody was to blame. Blah, blah, blah. Justin's all perfect, right? And it's literally, you know, they say you got 1 pointing out, you got 4 pointing back, or 3, whatever. And that's the truth, man. Because I am the creator, I am the end, the beginning and the end of all my issues, my problems, and everything that happens to me. You know. Let's see.
I've seen some really good comments as we were all talking tonight. There's a lot of people on here that have been in drug court or dependency court.
We got Addict Junction. What's up, Missy Thang? In the beginning of drug court, I was doing recovery because I had to meeting and such. I had to do meetings and such. Once I surrendered and started working my program because I wanted to and started to implement the tools and knowledge, I was able to see the true me and how beneficial recovery can be.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring up the screen a little bit. There we go. Blow it up. Thanks for sharing that, Missy.
Thanks, Missy.
We got Stephen too. I am on at 8 months now, and a month ago I was diagnosed with cancer, but I am still fighting. Keep fighting, my friend. I'll share this with you. My wife was diagnosed with cancer in 2021 when the Hope Shot started. Through that, she went through chemo, but now she is clean, and she is, not clean, but she is cancer free, and you know, it's you can get through it, my friend.
We're rooting for you. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. Proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
We got James Yancey. Sober day is 9/15/22, coming on a year. Glad to be here and seeing everyone's story. We all relate and we do recover.
Woo! Congratulations, James. A year. In a week. In a week, it'll be a year. That's awesome.
See, we got James Yancey also says, Adriana, you're amazing and a true testimony. Bless you.
Yeah, y'all had me tearing up. I was getting all sappy. I love
Well,
you. It's
Alex,
beautiful. It's
Alexis,
beautiful in here.
there is a
Mhm.
way. Yes, Sonya, you helped me in my early recovery. I clung to your words, and I am 5 months clean because of you. Mm.
I am so proud of
Wow.
you.
You never know
Amazing.
who's watching. That's the seed planter
Mhm.
right there. She's a seed planter.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is what Alexis is going to do and take with her recovery and
That's
plant
right.
seeds of her own. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
keeps going. It's so beautiful. So
That's
beautiful.
right.
I'm proud
Now
of
you
you,
get to
Alexis.
give it away.
Give it away.
Mhm.
We got Matthew is checking in from South Florida. 100 days clean today. Thank you all for your stories of experience, strength, and hope. You are helping me.
Oh, congratulations, Matt.
100 days. Yes.
Keep
Let's
going. Keep
go.
going. Keep going.
He's in sober living.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I need to send Matthew a book. You're in sober living in Florida. Where is he in Florida?
Yeah, he's in South Florida.
Tell him. Can you message me at Sober Now, Matthew? I'll mail you a copy of my book. I wrote it with the intention of people that are sitting at sober living or recovery. Like I envisioned you sitting there reading my book. I wrote it for you. I'll send you a copy. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. We got Jen says you guys are making generational changes for your family.
Amen. You're right,
By the
Jen.
way, we have Melissa's books are actually at my jail, the jail I go to, and yeah, we got some books there. So I love your mission. I love what we're doing.
She took some of the books to her girls in the jail. And Sonya, you've gotten some into some places too. A lot of places, some treatment facility, sober living, some safe house. And Justin, you've done the same thing. I didn't gift Justin the
I didn't
copies.
know I was on mute. Yes, we've
Oh,
taken them into a couple of different sober living facilities and
yeah.
treatment centers now.
We did a fundraiser. Sonya and I did a
Mhm.
fundraiser for 100. It came to me in a prayer, and I was like, "You're gonna think I'm crazy." I got this idea, kind of like the idea tonight. I was like, I saw 100 books for Sonya, so she was like, "Let's do it." We raised the money. I couldn't even get a bulletin out like in my town. The money came in. We ordered the books, got them down there to her. It took longer to get the books to her because I signed every single one.
Every
I
single one.
was late at night signing, and she's gotten him into places. And so, and you know, that happened
Mhm.
just from donations. And then Adriana, the ones that went to her, it's from the proceeds from the book. Man, I wish I was taking like fat vacations on those proceeds. That was my idea initially. It was going to be all mine, but it came.
Yeah.
It came it came clear very, very quickly in the journey that the money that comes in for the books is meant to go right back out into the sober community. It's not mine to keep, it's mine to use to facilitate getting more books out there. And it's working. It's working out that way. So it's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Did you see Addict Junction's comment? I'm a
Mm-mm.
mentor in my program.
I'm gonna go back up.
It's
Yep,
at
there
the
it is.
it's at the
Got it.
bottom.
Today,
Uh,
I'm a mentor in my program, and I've met myself several times overworking with the new women. I'm always saying I used to be where you're at, and this is how I work through it. I love helping others now. That's what it's all about, man. You know, you
way to
plant the seed.
go.
You know, somebody did it for me. I'm doing it for somebody else, and it's just like, you know, just like Attic Junction. She's doing it for somebody else, and somebody did for it, and that's how we That's how we pass it down. That's how we plant the seeds, and you never know how it's going to blossom. You never know if
Never.
it's going to work, but it
Mhm.
does. It does, though.
Mhm.
You know. And that's one thing is like, you know, we think of drug court as like we said, like back up there with the DCF and the case, and we could always say like, oh, holders resentments, but these things, the accountability course is because we can't be trusted with ourselves. You know,
No.
I
Right.
couldn't be trusted with myself. I know me, and I need that extra protection. You know what I mean? Because I need to be piss tested every time. That way I know that I have something to worry about. And
Mhm.
a good addict is full of fear, you know?
Yeah, and think about it these days, it's so bad out there. You know, when a friend of mine gets on probation or drug court or one of these accountability courts and they relapse, I know that they're going to go to jail very quickly, right? But if they're
Mhm.
not in an accountability court, then something much, much worse could happen. And so
Yeah.
I think that the accountability courts are saving so many lives. We'll never even know how many lives are really being saved by this because people are getting another chance of life.
Yeah. And not only are they saving lives, but they are, I had mentioned it earlier, the ripple effects, they are
Mhm.
saving families. Like just
Yes.
my case, my story, you guys, my daughter's going off, the daughter that was taken from me while I was in treatment, that I had to fight to get back while I was going through all that. She just graduated high school with honors. She was like she was like the softball team star, like everything on the homecoming court. I was a high school dropout, so like I watched everything that I wish I ever could have, would have, should have been. She's living the dream. But Derek and I like we recovered. I recovered, and we recovered as a family because of that program. Like the seeds were planted in that program, and we carried the work on. We never gave up. Do you know what I mean? And my kids are flourishing. Like they're going out and like they're the next generation. When I'm dead and gone, my kids are the next thing. You know what I mean? And there's no telling. I don't want to think about it. What could have happened if I ended up going away and sitting in prison? You know, I had my son who's 11 now. He was an infant at the time. He was a baby. I don't know what my husband would have done. He might have had to move on, and I don't know. He would have taken custody of that child. Who knows? But it didn't have to be that way. They didn't break our home. They didn't take away my opportunity for freedom. They helped me earn those things back. And as I did the work and as I moved through the phases and I leveled up, and man, it was hard because I fought it. I fought it. I was sick. We're not walking the line perfectly through this thing. We're all sick. We're healing, and what they offered, are just my family alone, has changed the world. It's going to continue to, because my kids are going to be able to go off when I'm gone one day. I'm not here anymore, and they're going to be able to do stuff. And everything that they do, this is cool too. I need to mention this. Everything that they do when they face a challenge and they're up against something, they reflect back on my story. It's an example of when you're up against something and you don't know what you're doing and you're overwhelmed, you can make it through it. This is what mom did. This is what she went through. Like they think about that, and they saw the support system, and they see it to this day. They're all downstairs right now, probably making fun of me watching this live with my friends in the unity, but they know it's true. It's impacting their lives. That those seeds have bloomed into a garden, bigger and more beautiful and fragrant than I could have ever asked for. It's beautiful. So I love that we got to have this time together tonight. I got and talk about how important the programs are, and how they impacted us each uniquely, because all of our stories are the same, but they're different. Which is a title of a chapter I'm writing. We're the same, but we're different. And I want to take that out, and I want to share that with other people, and I want to continue to have the unity in this, where we have our stories, and how each part of it is important, and how the roles along your journey in recovery, including accountability court programs. Maybe you're not in one. That's okay. Listen to what we're talking about tonight. Surely there's something on this live while we're talking about that specific thing that speaks to your soul. It's all about planting the seeds and taking it out and spreading it out to the world and seeing where it goes. It's beautiful. It's magic. It's sober magic.
Isn't it crazy how like our perspective like changes on this? Because I know while I was on drug court, I was like, when is this over?
Right.
This sucks.
No.
Right. And now like we see it was really a blessing in our lives, and it saved our lives.
Yeah.
But I wanted to add one more thing. If you're going through any legals or court or whatever, like advocate for yourself. You
Amen.
know, I uh would have been offered that drug court unless I said something, and I did because I knew of other friends that were on it. So advocate for yourself, ask questions, talk to people that've been in your shoes and see like, what can I do? How could I help my recovery and my case?
I love that you said that, Adriana, because there might be somebody who's watching this or watching the playback that has charges pending, that's getting ready to walk into court. Just because we are where we are on our journey, I'm 10 years in. Sonia's got, how many years you got? We're all on our good. Okay, we're all on our we just hit 4 years, but we're all on our different timelines. There's somebody who's in the thick of it right now watching. I know it. I feel it in my bones. I knew that's why we had to get together. So what you said was so important, Adriana, because listen, whoever you are that I'm talking about right now, I know you hear me. No, this ain't crazy. I'm talking to you, whoever you are out there. She's mentioning it. Walk into that courtroom and ask questions. Is there a program, something called accountability courts, that can help me get help and also make amends to the community and to this court system? I need some help. Is that an option?
Yeah, because you would speak up if the dude has some good dope, and you'd go freaking knock on that dude's door. So just remember that. So speak up for yourself, because I'm telling you, like, that's one thing is like we never say anything. A closed mouth won't get fed. So if it's something that you've had drug charges, whatever, it helps to be able to go through life, especially if it's your first time. A lot of people get their stuff expunged. Expunged? Or they don't get it on the record, which is really cool, because some people have their first times and it ruins. I mean, you get a criminal record. It's sometimes you can't even get rent a house. You know what I mean? Like, I've been through that.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened to me. Like, I had 6 felonies, all be felonies. Like, those are serious charges, and they all got dropped. Somebody said, like, when I was first starting it, they're like, so all you got to do is stay clean to, like, drop your charges. I'm still early in my recovery. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean that's all? It's kind of hard to get clean and stay clean. But looking back, like, yeah, I just had to stay clean, and my record is clean and white because of it, right? But like for so long while going through my case, I was like, I wanted to give up because I'm like, you know what? If I have 6 felonies, like I went to school for no reason, everything I did is now like there's no reason. So, like you just never know what might happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, anybody got anything else?
I don't think so. I'm good.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for getting together tonight. I love y'all.
Yeah.
I love everybody else out there watching too. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
You every time you say that, I'm like, let's get together and feel all right. Oh man, yeah, this has been a great episode. And if you guys are, we do a live every Sunday, so I don't know if you guys are ever, want to catch some podcasts, but we're do a live every Sunday, and sometimes we have special guests like Melissa, and we need to get Dear Recovery on there too. And we've had Sonya in the past, so we'll catch you guys this Sunday if you guys check us out on the Hope Shop.
Do you have time to shout out for the walk?
Everything, yeah. Yes, it doesn't. Matter of fact, Sonya and Melissa are coming to. We have a recovery walk going on, and if you guys are around Tampa, Florida, a little north of there, it's called Newport Richie. In Sims Park, we're doing a recovery walk. It's going to be September 23rd. It's a Saturday from 10 to 1. We're going to have Sonya's going to be speaking. Melissa's going to be speaking. I might, but I don't know.
Get up there.
We have a bunch of other people speaking. We're going to be walking. We're going to be celebrating recovery. It's going to be a great time of unity, fellowship. It's always a good time, to get that unity together.
Listen to me. If you are in another state besides Florida, you can drive there. I'm coming from North Carolina. I'm driving down there. There is a feeling, there is a vibe when you get into that park and you're with those people. You are at home. Come to it. Make a drive. Go for a weekend. Just plan a weekend. It's coming up. Go on a weekend getaway. Get in the car and come do some recovery time with your peoples.
Dude.
Alexis, come see us. She says she's in Tampa. We want to meet you.
Come. Oh my God, that'd be so much fun. I'll
Listen,
be there.
On the Hope Shot on the Hope Shot page, or Sonya, if you want to share it on your page, you guys share it all over your pages. There is a event made for this walk. It's a tie-dye flyer made by yours truly. So you guys click going, to get all the instructions and the directions to get there. So hope to see you guys there. All right, y'all. See you guys.
Bye.